Scroll through social media and the narrative is consistent. Morning routines, hustle culture, and shiny sports cars. But a persistent gap exists between the people selling those lifestyles and the small percentage of individuals who actually possess significant, multi-generational assets. Take a recent case in Mumbai. A founder pushed his company's valuation to $10 million. He celebrated by revealing his revenue figures and growth strategy in a public setting. 6 months later, his chief technology officer resigned to join a competitor with the company's internal roadmap, and his marketing head launched a direct clone. Within 2 years, that $10 million valuation had vanished. During the 2017 crypto boom, an investor turned 100,000 rupees into 500,000 in 60 days. He immediately posted screenshots of his portfolio online. The visibility triggered a wave of demands for loans from relatives, tax audits, and physical threats that eventually forced him to liquidate his entire position under extreme stress. Both of these men violated a framework of power written 500 years ago. When Niccolo Machiavelli originally outlined these mechanics, the text was considered so dangerous to the social order that the church banned it and governments burned the copies. The truth inside was intended strictly for the ruling class. The survival logic is straightforward. The lion is hunted precisely because its presence is known and its movements are visible. The fox survives because it remains unnoticed by the hunter until it has secured its objective. Propping up a public image of success doesn't necessarily grant power. Instead, it often provides competitors, creditors, and peers with the exact coordinates they need to begin an extraction or an attack. Human psychology follows a predictable pattern. People are moved to assist those they perceive as struggling, yet they frequently coordinate to undermine anyone perceived as rising too far above the group. During the Renaissance, a smart textile merchant named Francesco clearly recognized this pattern. Despite generating substantial profits, he avoided upgrading his lifestyle. He continued to wear his oldest clothes and maintained his operations in a decaying, unimpressive shop. By constantly describing the market as slow, he convinced his competitors he was a non-threat. Suppliers offered him lower rates out of sympathy, and tax collectors focused their attention elsewhere. Francesco quietly became the absolute wealthiest merchant in all of Florence, while the city looked the other way. You can clearly observe this in modern offices. The employee who constantly advertises their brilliance is often penalized with an increased workload and social isolation. They become a target for management and a threat to peers. The strategic move is to attribute your wins to luck or external factors. When you project mediocrity, you encourage those around you to lower their guard, allowing you to observe the environment without being observed yourself. Managing your public image to appear harmless creates a buffer against the sabotage that follows success. Machiavelli argued that a primary threat to stability isn't a public rival, but rather the members of your own inner circle, the people who share your meals while calculating your replacement. Protecting a shadow empire means diversifying your income while only allowing your peers to see the most mundane, uninteresting source. What you hold in real estate or private equity should remain known only to you and your legal counsel. This applies to networking as well. True leverage comes from quiet relationships with background operators, specialized tax lawyers, and institutional bankers, rather than public-facing influencers who trade on attention. A monument, like a high-performance car, requires constant outward flows of capital. A system, like a dividend portfolio, operates in the background to pull resources inward. If your income relies entirely on physical presence, you've constructed a cage. When work stops, the monument collapses. Rapid, visible wealth often creates a brief flash before burning out. Building generational wealth requires the immense patience to construct an invisible architecture that functions completely independently of your public identity. Modern history contains examples of individuals who applied Machiavelli's stealth playbook to protect multi-billion-dollar empires. Ingvar Kamprad, the founder of IKEA, amassed a net worth of $58 billion while driving a 15-year-old Volvo and flying economy. He was frequently seen using discount coupons for everyday purchases. Kamprad used frugality as a defensive barrier. This prevented the social expectations and security risks that typically follow a multi-billion-dollar public profile, allowing him to expand his company without unnecessary interference. Warren Buffett has maintained the same house he purchased in 1958. This strategic choice limits his exposure to the lifestyle creep and public scrutiny that often dismantle large fortunes. The challenge is to remove the visible markers of wealth from your public life. Stop documenting every financial milestone online and focus on the strategic advantage of being completely overlooked. Money makes noise, but true wealth remains silent. When you stop trying to project power, you gain the focus required to actually build it.